The stairwell smelled of dust and stale coffee as Daniel Hayes climbed, his polished shoes echoing off the concrete. He tugged at his loosened tie, each step heavier than the last. The day had been brutal. Shareholders threatening lawsuits, creditors circling like vultures, employees whispering about mass layoffs. Once celebrated as one of the youngest CEOs to hit the business magazines, Daniel now felt like a fraud staggering under the ruins of his empire. When he pushed open the rooftop door, the cool evening air slapped against his face. The city stretched out below him, neon lights flickering to life, car horns blaring in endless rhythm. Normally he came up here to breathe, to pretend the world wasn't closing in. But tonight, his chest tightened at the sight that greeted him. A girl stood on the very edge of the rooftop. Her thin sweater clung to her in the wind, her dark hair whipping wildly across her tear-streaked face. And her arms? Her arms were cradling a swollen belly, the unmistakable curve of pregnancy. Her feet were half out of her shoes, her toes curling desperately over the ledge as if she was bracing herself for one final leap. Daniel's pulse roared in his ears. "Don't jump," he said, his voice sharp but pleading, carrying across the rooftop before he could think. The girl flinched at the sound, but she didn't move away from the edge. Her shoulders shook as she turned her head slightly, just enough for him to see her eyes, red, swollen, hollow. I can't do this anymore," she whispered, her voice carried away by the wind. "No one wants me. Not like this. Not with him." Her hand trembled as it rested on her belly. Daniel's chest clenched. He saw the way she held herself, torn between protecting her child and giving up. It was the same helplessness that gnawed at him every night when he stared at the company reports, wondering how many families would suffer because of his mistakes. "I know what it's like," he said, taking one careful step forward, palms open to show he wasn't a threat, to feel cornered, to think the whole world would be better off without you. His throat burned as he admitted it. "I feel it every single day." Her eyes flicked to his, surprised. She hadn't expected him to say that, not in his pressed shirt, not with the confidence of someone who looked like he had everything. "You don't understand," she choked out. "I've lost everything. My family, the father of this baby, everyone's gone." Her knees buckled slightly, the wind tugging at her clothes, and Daniel's heart lurched. "Yes, I do," he insisted, his voice breaking. "And I'm telling you, you don't have to face it alone." Her lips trembled. For a terrifying second, her weight shifted forward. Daniel lunged, his hand closing around her wrist, and with all his strength he pulled her back from the edge. She collapsed against his chest, sobbing, while he held her tight, clutching her like she was the only thing keeping him from falling too. The girl sat in Daniel's office, her small frame swallowed by the leather chair. She clutched his suit jacket tight around her shoulders as if it were the only barrier between her and the world. Her hands shook when she lifted the glass of water he'd given her, but she drank slowly like someone who hadn't been cared for in a long time. Daniel leaned against his desk, arms crossed, studying her. He didn't push, didn't demand answers. He just waited. His company's problems, the mountain of debts, they all faded to the background in this quiet, fragile moment. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was hoarse from crying. "I shouldn't have come here. I shouldn't have let you stop me." "Why not?" His tone was soft, but there was an edge, fear maybe, of what she would say. Her eyes darted to his, wide and vulnerable. "Because if you knew who I was, you wouldn't want to help me." Daniel felt a prickle at the back of his neck. "Try me." She hesitated, then whispered, "I was engaged to your brother." The words crashed over him like a wave. His arms dropped to his sides. "What?" She nodded, tears filling her eyes again. "Ethan, we were supposed to get married. But when I told him about the baby, he left. He said he wasn't ready to ruin his life." Her hand went instinctively to her stomach. "And now it's just me." Daniel staggered back a step, his mind racing. Ethan, the golden son, the charmer who had always breezed through life, leaving chaos in his wake. The brother Daniel hadn't spoken to in years after too many betrayals. And now this. His jaw tightened. "He left you? Like this?" Her silence was answer enough. The air in the office grew heavy, thick with silence and old wounds. Daniel's fists curled at his sides. He wanted to storm out, to punch a wall, to call Ethan and demand answers. But the sight of her shifting uncomfortably in the chair, wrapping her arms around her belly as if to shield the child from the world, stopped him. Her voice cracked. I didn't want to tell you. I thought maybe if I ended it tonight, no one would ever have to know. No shame, no burden, just gone. Daniel swallowed hard, fighting back the storm rising in his chest. Anger at Ethan. Anger at himself for not seeing sooner the kind of man his brother had become. But beneath the rage was something else, something unfamiliar and raw. He walked slowly around the desk, kneeling so he was eye level with her. His voice was steady now, but gentler than he ever remembered it being. Listen to me. What Ethan did, what he didn't do, that's on him. Not you, not this baby. You hear me? Her chin trembled as she nodded faintly, tears spilling again. Daniel hesitated only a moment before reaching out, not to touch her, but to rest his hand on the armrest near hers, a quiet gesture of presence, of choice. You're not a burden. You're not alone. I don't care whose child this is, right now you both need someone, and I'm not going to walk away. The girl pressed her lips together, trying and failing to stifle another sob, but this time when she cried there was something softer in it. Relief. For the first time in months, Daniel felt something stir inside him too. Not the crushing weight of failure, not the bitterness of betrayal, but a fragile, dangerous thing called hope.